Have you ever heard the term cloaking veil? You might have come across it in a book about ancient mysteries, a scientific research paper, or maybe even a TV show. What does it mean? Well, the phrase seems to pop up in all sorts of different contexts, from mystical traditions that talk about illusions and realities to modern science that is actually trying to invent invisibility cloaks. So what is this cloaking veil? Is it just some abstract idea, or does it actually refer to something concrete? To understand the different meanings of the cloaking veil, let's break down its various appearances across different contexts, starting with the most mystical and spiritual one in Hinduism and Buddhism. The cloaking veil is known as the veil of Maya. Maya is a Sanskrit word that roughly translates to illusion. Think of it like a magician's trick. The audience sees something that isn't really there because the magician has skillfully concealed it. In the same way, the Buddhist tradition says that we are all caught behind the veil of Maya, which hides the true nature of reality, also known as Brahman or ultimate truth. The veil keeps us from seeing things as they really are and instead shows us a world full of suffering and delusion. Some texts describe it as a dreamlike state where our senses fool us into thinking things are real, when they aren't. The only way to lift this veil, according to these traditions, is through spiritual awakening. This awakening is not just a change in beliefs, but a direct experience of the ultimate reality. It's like taking off the blindfold and seeing the world in a completely new way. Now let's take a look at some religious references, particularly in Christianity and the Bible. There's a story about the temple veil that used to hang in the Jewish temple in Jerusalem. This thick curtain or tapestry hung across the entrance to the Holy of Holies, the most sacred place in the temple where God's presence was believed to dwell. Only the high priest could enter this area once a year on the Day of Atonement. For the rest of the people, the temple veil symbolized a barrier between them and God, a physical manifestation of their separation from the divine. In the Christian narrative, this changes with Jesus' death. When Jesus dies on the cross, the Bible says that the temple veil was torn in two from top to bottom. This is seen as a symbolic representation of a new reality. It's as if God himself tore away the veil, making the hidden truth accessible to all people. This means that the barrier between humanity and the divine is broken down, and people can now have a direct relationship with God without the need for priests or rituals. This idea is a central part of Christian theology, emphasizing that salvation and enlightenment are attainable through faith in Jesus and his sacrifice. Moving on, let's explore some shamanic and pagan views on the cloaking veil. In these traditions, there's often a belief in a veil between worlds, a thin boundary that separates the world of the living from the world of the dead or the spiritual realm. This veil is believed to be thinnest at certain times of the year, such as Samhain or Halloween, when the worlds are said to be closest and communication between them is easiest. At these times, it is believed that the veil becomes so thin that spirits or ghosts can pass through and interact with the physical world. Rituals and celebrations during these times, like those associated with Halloween, are often aimed at communing with spirits or honoring the dead. In these traditions, the cloak is what normally prevents humans from perceiving the unseen world. Without it, we would be bombarded by spirits and energies that we couldn't handle. So the cloak acts as a necessary barrier to protect us from the potentially overwhelming or dangerous spiritual realm. Now let's shift to a more scientific angle. The idea of a cloaking veil has found new life in the field of metamaterials. Researchers are actually working on creating devices that can make objects appear invisible by bending light waves around them. This is not science fiction. It's cutting-edge research being done at places like Duke University and the University of California, Irvine. These scientists are creating real invisibility cloaks that exploit the properties of metamaterials, which are specially designed materials with unique electromagnetic properties. By manipulating these properties, they can make light go around an object as if it isn't there. To someone looking at the object through the bent light waves, it would appear invisible. This is a literal cloaking veil, a physical manifestation of an otherwise invisible phenomenon. But the concept doesn't stop there. Neuroscientists also talk about the brain acting like a cloaking veil. Our brains receive an overwhelming amount of sensory data, far more than we could ever consciously process. So our brains filter out most of this information, creating a manageable stream of perception that we can actually deal with. What we see, hear, smell, taste, and touch is not the world as it is, but the world is filtered through our brain's cloaking device. This makes sense if you think about it. We don't experience reality directly. We experience our brain's interpretation of reality. So in a way, our entire reality is shaped by the cloaking veil of our own nervous system. In summary, the cloaking veil is a powerful symbol with multiple layers of meaning. It can refer to the illusion that hides ultimate reality, the barrier between the divine and humanity, the protection that shelters us from the spirit world, the scientific marvel of invisibility cloaks, or even the way our brains shape our perception of reality. The concept reminds us that what we see and experience is not necessarily the whole truth and that there might be more to reality than meets the eye. So what do you think? Does the idea of a cloaking veil change the way you see the world? If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe to see more. As always, thanks for watching.